Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer, and we are doing the campaign update from last Friday's D&D game at the table there. So we do run, for a recap, we do run first edition AD&D as our rule set, and the campaign's name is the Galley. There is a playlist. This is the second video in the playlist. Go back and watch the first one if you want to get caught up. So, where we left off, we had investigated this crevasse that had some type of noxious type fumes coming out of it, which wasn't too far from my character, Clevite's Abbe. He's a cleric, and he has an Abbe out off of a traveled road, seldom traveled road, but a road nonetheless. And a short distance from there is where this crevasse was found. We went to investigate it. We had to fight a couple of ettins, a bunch of fungus creatures, stuff like that, some spiders, and that's where we left off from after the first week. So we returned this time, went back down, and decided to investigate further, do a little bit more dungeon delving, and we found a room that had a bunch of undead in it. The undead rushed us. Now, me being the cleric, they beat me on initiative. So they got first attack, and I was paralyzed. My cleric was paralyzed. So he did not get a chance to turn them before getting paralyzed. So that put us behind the 8-ball. Then our barbarian was also paralyzed, being our tank. There is pictures on my Twitter page, if you want to go look at the pictures, showing the predicament that we were in, and luckily our magic user was able to put down a wall of ice between us and the creatures, and we were able to escape, because we would have, I think it was just him that was all that was left, was the magic user. We get out of there, we go back to the Abbe, decide we better get some help. We got one of my NPCs that works at the Abbe named Varv. He came back, so now we have 2 clerics. I was able to turn some of them. The magic user was able to fireball the remainder or whatever, and we were successful then, of course, second attempt. So we continue a little bit further into the dungeon. We come upon a room with a like a pond or a pool of water, not very deep to begin with. However, I cast lower water because we weren't sure if something was hiding in the water still. Casted lower water. Now, at that point, I had to go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom. I come out of the bathroom, and they're finishing up whatever they had found in the water. There was no combat, but they found an item in the water, and I have later come to the understanding that it was a idol, like a small idol of some type of canine. We do not know what that is yet. It is yet to be determined what that is. We don't know if it's a magic item. We don't know if it's a ritual item. We don't know if it's junk. We have no idea. However, it was retrieved magically without having to go into the water by the magic user. So that is yet to be determined. Then we continued on, and we found a room with more undead in it. And this is as close to what was described to us as far as a mini goes that I had on hand. A winged angel demon like creature, and of course on this camera it sucks trying to get the there we go. So that's about the closest thing that I had. So we used this as the mini, and then there was a whole bunch of other undead in there, and so it became a long combat. And it was I tried turning, and I can't remember if I turned a couple. Could not turn him, the big guy. And then I use, whenever there's like a large number of like bipedal humanoid creatures, I bought just a pack of these zombies that are like modern day. They're modern day zombies, but it was like a pack of, I want to say 100 on Amazon. It just comes in a bag of 100 of these. So when we have, because I don't have that many minis of a specific type, so whenever we have large numbers of mobs like that, I just use these. They come in real handy. I have the same thing with spiders. At the Dollar Tree at Halloween time, they have bags of spiders that are just about the size of giant spiders that you could use for D&D, and you can get a whole bag of them for $1. Well, not anymore. I think it's $1.25 now. But so I have a box of spiders and a box of basically bipedal humanoids that for when we have large numbers for combat. Cheers. So we used those for that particular combat. And again, there's pictures I tweeted out some stuff. You can go back onto my Twitter page, Greyhawk4x4, or at Greyhawk4x4 on Twitter if you want to see the pictures. And it took the rest of the night for this combat, if I remember correctly. And we ended up defeating everything but the big guy. The NPC Varv, the one that works for me at the Abbey, he was killed by the big guy, I believe. And that's kind of a loss because he was the one that pretty much ran the Abbey. He was kind of like almost like second in charge there. So I'm sure that I'm going to have to role play replacing him with the DM. I'm sure that's coming up. But as soon as we took care of everybody else, and we realized we could not defeat this angel, the DM was describing it as an angel of death. We could not defeat the angel of death. We decided to retreat, and as we're running away in retreat, the angel of death says out loud something to the effect of, "I'm free," and that was it. And we ran our asses out of there. And obviously, we're going to have to go back to the Abbey. And that was pretty much the night. It was all 2 different excursions into the dungeon. One at first, and then one with backup. Multiple instances of combat, mostly undead. Thank goodness for the magic user, because without a magic user, there's no way in hell any of us would have survived. As the cleric, there were things I wanted to cast. And the problem was that with only the barbarian as our only tank, I end up in melee, and my spells are getting fizzled. Because if I say I have to declare before initiative, when it's our initiative turn, I either have to roll for hand-to-hand combat for initiative, or if I'm going to cast a spell, I have to declare I'm going to cast a spell, and I have to say how many segments that spell is that I want to cast. And say it's a 7-segment spell. If the monsters roll lower in initiative, going before me at 7 segments, they have a chance to hit me. If they hit me, they spoil my spell. So, excuse me. So, that kept happening. The magic user was staying back out of melee, thankfully. I don't have the luxury at this point of staying out of melee because there's so few of us. So it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. Thankfully, the magic user was able to cast spells to get us. Like the first time we had to evacuate, after he did the wall of ice, he got us all onto Tensor's magic disc and zipped us out of there. Same thing he's able to fireball. Just lots of handy, useful spells. And if we didn't have a magic user, we'd be toast. So we're going to have to hire some henchmen and hirelings, basically as meat shields, because we can't keep doing it this way. We've got to do something differently. So that is pretty much the update. We are not playing this Friday because several of us have other obligations. Niels is out of town still. Jonathan's got something to do, and I've got something to do. So there's no way we can play. So we'll try again next week. But for now, that is the campaign update for the Galley. Cheers. We'll catch you guys on the flip side.